probably not gonna break it.
Hi, my name's Dave, and I've spent most of my life outdoors here in Canada's Western frontier. I believe one thing to be true. Outside is therapy. It's where we both reconnect and disconnect. I hope you'll come with me as we build, explore, and repeat.
All right, I'll tell you, why is it so dark in here? Focus on me. Come on. There we go. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, August 17th today, and we have a very exciting day because, as you can see, we've got a 6-foot Toyota Tacoma and a 6-foot Yucca Pac Camper that we're playing with today. So as you see, we've got the forklift set up. We've got the camper all prepped and ready to go. Because every Yucca Pac camper comes with a interior light as a standard option, we have to run on auxiliary power to the back. And then we're gonna wire up the tail light. And then I'm gonna show you guys the new 2023 installation package that we've just changed up to, which in my opinion, I think is a really sharp looking unit. I like it a lot better than the old installation package, and I really liked the old installation package. This one is definitely a little bit more robust, a little bit more involved than previously. So today we've got a 2019 Toyota Access Cab 6-foot box that we're going to install on. And what we're going to do right now, what I've already done is gone through and installed the bulkhead seal that's going to go along the bulkhead of the truck. And then we use a premium camper bed seal. And then a 6-foot model is going to get 2 or 4 per side GSI canopy clamps. The canopy clamps actually clamp directly to the inner rails of the camper itself, which basically gives us the ability to avoid drilling through any of the boxes. We still do bolt some campers to the box rails, depending on what the customer requires or wants. There are spots that allow us to bolt through, but more or less than not, we actually use the heavy-duty GSI clamps, and so far they work really, really well. Our campers are very light, so these things are going to do more than enough. We do encourage people to torque them down after the initial install, after a first 120 kilometers, just so that the camper can settle. But then away we go. The cap seal actually just seals to the bottom edge of the camper with some 3M tape. So we'll just, once the camper's off the platform, we'll run that tape along the edges of the camper and then set it down on the truck. So we're gonna lift the camper up with the forklift and get it more or less situated. We're gonna pull the build platform out of the bottom, and then we're gonna back the truck up and get our point where we wanna come down. And then we'll run our seal, we'll set it down, we'll clamp it down, and then we'll start running the wires. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was John Ryle. John Ryle, ladies and gentlemen. John, shout out, man. Thanks so much for bringing your truck by and letting us do a Savage camper install on it. It was hot. It was a hot day today, so we changed up our clothes. Got us some fresh, cleanish clothing. Now, I mean, they're dirty now already that I'm back at the shop. I don't have nice clothes. That's why, because I work too much. Yeah, that was awesome. Decent install. We're going to switch gears a little bit right now, and we're going to go into talking a little bit about solar power. If you're rocking a camper like a Yucca Pac Camper, or even a basic van build, there's a good chance that most of the solar information that you've seen online is either more than you need or filled with a whole bunch of watts per hour, ohms per hour, all this stuff, which if you're not super keen on electrical components might seem like a little difficult to understand. We're just going to tell you what I use, roughly what you're going to need for what you want to use, and then go into the 3 basic components that you would need to get what you need out of a solar system. Unless you're running like a massive van life conversion where you're like literally going to be living in this thing, or you just want running water, heat, you want basically an RV, then you're probably going to go with the charge controllers, the battery monitors, all that stuff is going to be included in there, plus your isolators and all that, because you're going to be running multiple batteries. This information is going to be if you're just running a basic 12-volt solar system with, at most, AC converter that can charge like a laptop or something. If you want to run like high voltage power through your system, this isn't going to be the setup you're going to want to use. This is purely for minimalist power needs. Charging cameras, laptops, running solar, a fridge, a diesel heater, stuff like that. Anything else on top of that, you're going to need more than what I'm going to show you today. But right now, let's get into some of the basic needs that you might need if you're running solar in your camper setup. Tidbit, it's probably less than you think. Okay, so the nitty and gritty of it is this. Watts in, watts out. Is it ohms per hour? Is it watts per hour? What's the difference between volts, watts, and ohms? How big of a charger do I need? How big of a panel do I need? How far will 100 watts get me? I'm running a fridge, a diesel heater. We're gonna break this down into 3 categories by the systems that you're gonna need. So 1 is gonna be a solar panel. 2 is gonna be a charge controller. And 3 is gonna be your power source, so your battery. First thing we're going to go for is a flexi panel. So this panel itself is made by eSun. These panels can be sourced anywhere online. If you look at this thing, it is extremely light. You can glue it on a surface. You can pop rivet it on a surface. It comes with these little eyelets that you could zip strap it to a surface even if you wanted to. By all metrics, an incredibly convenient solar panel. Heat is the #1 enemy of any solar system that you're going to have. You want to be able to dissipate heat. The hotter the panel gets, the less conductive it's going to be. You want a decent air gap underneath to try to help keep that panel dissipating heat as effectively as possible. So for about a year, I had this eSun solar panel glued to the top of my camper. If I had full sunlight all time, I was probably getting about, out of like an 8 to 10 hour charge, I would get about 5 hours of usable battery. Not so great. I did end up switching to a different panel, and that fixed the problem. I am getting a full charge now. So that being said, I only got about a year out of this panel and not a whole lot of use. But honestly, some of the benefits of a panel like this is going to be pretty straightforward. They're light, they're portable, they can be glued to a surface, and they don't take up a lot of space. If you're worried about a big gap like that and you think you can get a decent air gap by doing something like putting it on some PVC frame or something like that, this is still very much a doable system. It's a nice panel. I just think for the application that I used, in the way that I used it, was inefficient and ultimately led to the demise of the panel way earlier than it should have. So next up is a monocrystalline panel. They're typically framed, so you'll have a bit of a metal frame around it, and that gives you that air gap. When you mount this thing to a surface, you're gonna have that air gap underneath, and that's gonna allow the panel to cool off. Another thing is monocrystalline panels are very, very, very tough. You'd be hard pressed to break one of these panels. And that's really important, especially when you're dealing with weather like we have here in Alberta. We get some absolutely world-class hailstorms, specifically here in central Alberta, that can drop up to golf ball, even baseball-sized hail. Having something that can put up with some seriously world-class weather conditions is really important, especially when it's your primary source of charge and power. Now, a 25-watt panel is probably good for charging a cell phone, maybe some solar lights, stuff like that. But this isn't going to get you very far charging like a 100 amp hour. You go to something like we have here. This is our most recent panel that we've actually picked up that we've been testing. This is a Renogy 125 watt monocrystalline panel. Much like the little Coleman panel that I was just showing you guys, this panel is incredibly durable. You're probably not going to break it. And the technology in solar is getting better and better every year. So the solar cells in this panel are going to be more efficient than in this panel, just by the way technology works. So one of the nice things about the flexible solar panels is if you're the type of person that wants to chase your sun, meaning you don't want to permanently mount a solar panel, you can pick up a brand new Eason solar panel for about $100. This one comes completely configured with a charge controller on the back, as you can see there, with some gator clips. So this one's going to run you about $160. But if you're looking for a low-cost option that isn't going to break the bank, that's not going to break when it's in the back of your truck, I would highly recommend starting maybe with something like this. It's going to tell you what your needs are, and as your demands change and increase over time, you can maybe then upgrade, or if you find that you need more solar, you can go to a monocrystalline panel. Everybody that I know that have started with the flexi panels have actually upgraded to a monocrystalline panel. And so far, I actually like the performance of a monocrystalline panel over the Eason flexi panel, personally. Two main styles of panels that you're going to look for are the flat flexi panels and the monocrystalline panels. Now, there are other options out there available, such as like the blankets that you have seen from Rennie from Off Grid Trek. Rennie from Off Grid Trek makes an absolutely savage product as well. It is like up to 1,500 watts of solar out of an unfoldable blanket. Those are essentially a similar technology to the flat panels. The solar cells themselves are like a black matted surface, and from what I've heard that everybody has them, they work like a hot damn. They work really, really well. However, it's not something that you can permanently mount. It's something that you're going to have to chase the sun constantly. It's going to be on the ground, and they are fairly heavy as well. But they do fold up really, really nice. So if you're looking for something that's not permanently mounted, a solar blanket of some sort would also be an awesome idea. Just keep in mind that with that collapsibility and the efficiency that you're going to get from something like that, the price point is going to go up exponentially. This, what we're talking about today, is really a basic entry into solar and more or less a minimalist style solar setup. If you're going to go any higher than 100 to 200 watts, I'm going to encourage you to upgrade to a whole bunch of other stuff and maybe even check out some other videos. This video is going to be super basic. On that note, we're going to talk specifically about charge controllers. So there's basically, at this level, there's about two things you need to know about charge controllers. One, if you're running a lithium system, charge controller like you see here, this is not going to work. Lithium requires their own functions within a charge controller to effectively charge the battery safely. However, if you are running an AGM system or something like that, little 5 amp charge controllers like this guy that have little USB ports, a display and all that, this will work just fine if you're not running lithium. If you're going to decide to run lithium like we did, I would recommend actually going with a Victron system. So this is a Victron 7 amp smart charge controller. This is actually the wall plug version. So if you're bringing your batteries in for the winter or you're not keeping them in your camper and you're looking to charge them in the wall, this is what you're going to use to charge that system. It's fully built out for a lithium battery and all that All you gotta do is click the button, set it over to lithium settings, and away you go. Let's just, for the sake of it, say that this, in fact, is a lithium charger. Certain makes and models of chargers are going to say that they're a 5 amp charger, but on average, they're pumping 3.6, 4.2, 5.6 amps. And it's not getting a consistent charge. With lithium, having a consistent charge on that battery is really important, and keeping it at that like 4.6, 4.8 range is really, really important. It's what the batteries prefer. You get better optimization out of your batteries, you get better performance out of the battery, and you actually get a smoother and stabler charge. A heck of a lot more technology that goes into something like this than something like this. Now, understand, you will be paying for that technology. This charge controller is about 50 bucks on Amazon. Super inexpensive. It might even be less than that when I bought it. This might be a $25 charge controller. The charge controller that we upgraded to, the Victron mobile charge controller, is about $300. So it goes up in price exponentially. Purchase the highest quality that you can afford. Actually, you know what? Let's say you have $1,000 for your entire power system. This is how I would do it. I would go with a 100 watt monocrystalline Renogy panel. I would pair that with a Victron MPPT smart charge controller that's specifically designed for lithium. And then I would go to like a lithium blue setup. A lithium blue battery is gonna cost you around 600 bucks. The charge controller is gonna be around 300 bucks. And the solar panel is gonna be about 100, 150 bucks. That puts you about $1,100 for a solar system. So now one of the biggest things that I actually really like from switching from a charge controller like this bad boy right here to an MPPT smart charger is the fact that everything's on my phone now. So if I go into my phone, you can see at the bottom there, I've got this little folder that says Yucca Pac. And when I open that up, you can see I've got my car fridge, my Victron charge controller, and my Bluetooth battery all laid out there. So if I ever want to see what's going on with my charge controller, I just hit the Victron charge controller and it pops it up. And all I have to do is click on that guy and it's going to connect to it. It'll tell me exactly what I want to know without having to crawl into wherever my charge controller is to see what's going on. So I can see the state of my battery. I can see if my solar panels are charging. I can see if there's any error codes on the MPPT charger. That is way more convenient than I expected it to be, and I'm super fond of it right now. I would say that is the biggest benefit that you get from going to a smart charger, is just the ease and accessibility you have to all your data. So when things are going wrong and you're not getting a charge, or you want to try to plan for the next day, like, are we going to stay here longer, or should we get on the road and travel a bit so we can have that charge going and maybe get some better sunlight? You can make all those decisions a lot better when you have all the data that you need, and having a smart charger with an effective solar system is really going to help you do that. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the battery. You can go with a standard lead acid car battery. You'll get a crap ton of life out of a typical car battery. You'll get a lot more out of a battery that is specifically designed to produce power distribution over a long period of time, whereas a car battery is designed to give out a powerful punch for a short period of time. If you go to a deep cycle AGM battery, like we have here, this battery is specifically designed for marine grade applications. It is designed to give you consistent power at a decent rate over a long period of time. And that's the beauty of it. Now, a lithium battery, and again, I would show you guys this, but currently it's in the truck. A lithium battery is completely different. Now, the drawbacks to a lithium battery is that when it gets to about 0, the battery physically cannot take a charge. It will not take a charge. You've probably seen this if you've lived somewhere where it's winter and you've tried to plug your phone in when it's super cold, and you've left your phone plugged in all day and night and it just will not take a charge. The battery can still discharge after 0, so you'll still get a discharge out of the battery, but you can't take a charge. Now, that's really important, especially when you're pairing it with a camper up here in Canada, specifically like a Yucca Pac camper, where you're designing the camper to be used in various seasons. If I'm running my fridge, lights, diesel heater, charge stations, and all that, I'll get about 3 days. That's with no charge coming out and constant use. I'm talking turning the lights on and leaving them on for 4-6 hours. That's off a brand new battery, but that's pretty darn good. Pair that with a 100 amp charger, a 100 watt panel with about a 5 amp charge, and in good sunlight, you can extend that up to 3, 4, 5, 6 days and indefinitely. The only thing that has to change is your consumption has to go down. If you want to go up and run something like a rice cooker or a laptop charger or a TV or whatever, you're going to want to upgrade to about at least 200 watts and then also go with an AC or DC to AC converter. Just keep in mind that when you convert from DC to AC, you lose power in the conversion. It takes energy to actually do the conversion, and therefore DC will always be more efficient than AC when it comes to solar setups, specifically of the off-grid variety. So I hope this video was decent for you guys. It's really basic. There's no technical information in here, just some basic information. But from what I can tell, there's not much out there for just basic information. Like, hey, I want to run solar. What do I need? What should I start with? This is what you should start with. I really think it's the best way to go. And if you're curious about anything else, reach out to Mark at CBI Solar, or reach out to your local solar supplier. These people are a wealth of knowledge. They are a resource that you should most definitely tap into if you have any sort of technical questions. All the information that I've shared with you guys here today is information that was shared to me by solar professionals. So none of this stuff is just off the top of my head. It's just stuff that I have tested and tried and things that professionals have told me. So you guys know the deal. If you guys like this style of content, I'm gonna encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. And most importantly, live free, be wild. We'll see you guys in the next one.